"I trust you completely," she whispered, her eyes searching mine for any hint of the lie I was about to tell. 3 words that would haunt me forever. Because 1 second later, I shattered everything we'd built with a single, calculated betrayal. Trust is perhaps the most fragile thing we share with another human being. It's built slowly, brick by brick, through countless small moments of honesty and vulnerability. But it can be destroyed in an instant, in the space between one heartbeat and the next. This is the story of how I learned that some betrayals cut so deep, they redefine not just a relationship, but who you are as a person. Emma and I had been together for 3 years when this happened. 3 years of building something I thought was unbreakable. We met in college, during one of those late-night study sessions where exhaustion strips away all pretense, and you find yourself talking to a stranger like they're your oldest friend. She was studying journalism, I was in business, and somehow our paths kept crossing in ways that felt less like coincidence and more like destiny. She was the kind of person who believed in people, sometimes to a fault. Emma saw the best in everyone, even when they couldn't see it in themselves. She had this way of listening that made you want to be honest, even about the ugly parts of yourself. And God, she was beautiful. Not just in the obvious ways, but in how she moved through the world with this quiet confidence, this gentle strength that drew people to her like moths to flame. By our 2nd year together, we were inseparable. We talked about everything. Our fears, our dreams, the kind of life we wanted to build together. She trusted me with stories she'd never told anyone else. About her father leaving when she was 12. About the eating disorder she'd struggled with. In high school. About the way she sometimes felt like she was performing happiness instead of actually living it. In return, I told her about my own demons. The pressure from my family to succeed. The way I sometimes felt like I was drowning in expectations I'd never asked for. We moved in together during our senior year, into this tiny apartment above a bakery that smelled like cinnamon rolls every morning. Those were some of the happiest months of my life. We'd wake up to the scent of fresh bread, make coffee in our cramped kitchen, and talk about our future like it was this golden thing we were walking toward together. After graduation, I landed a job at a prestigious consulting firm. The pay was incredible, but the pressure was suffocating. 80-hour weeks became normal. I was constantly traveling, constantly stressed, constantly feeling like I was failing at something I couldn't quite name. Emma was patient, more patient than I deserved. She'd wait up for me when I came home late. She'd listen to me complain about work. She'd remind me that success wasn't worth sacrificing our relationship. But somewhere along the way, I started to change. The job was demanding more than my time. It was demanding my soul. I found myself making small compromises, telling small lies to clients, to my boss, to myself. Nothing criminal, nothing that would make headlines, but enough to slowly erode the person I used to be. Emma noticed, of course. She always noticed. But she trusted me to find my way back to myself. It happened on a Thursday night in November. I'd been working on this massive deal for months, the kind of deal that could make my career or destroy it. Everything was riding on this presentation to the board, and I was terrified, not just of failing, but of what failing would mean. The money we'd spent on the apartment, the ring I'd been planning to buy, the life we'd been building together. It all felt like it was balanced on this one moment. Emma could see how stressed I was. She came home that night with Thai food from our favorite place and found me at our kitchen table, surrounded by papers, my laptop screen glowing in the dim light. She set the food down, pulled up a chair beside me, and just sat there for a moment, watching me work. "You're going to be amazing tomorrow," she said quietly. "You always are." I looked up at her then, really looked at her. She was wearing this old sweater of mine, her hair pulled back in a messy bun, no makeup, just Emma in her most natural state. And she was looking at me like I was her hero, like I was this person worthy of her complete faith and devotion. "I'm scared," I admitted. It was the most honest thing I'd said in weeks. She reached over and took my hand. Her fingers were warm, familiar. "I know," she said. "But whatever happens, we'll figure it out together. You know that, right?" I nodded, but something cold was spreading in my chest, because I knew what I was about to do. I'd known for weeks, actually. My boss had made it clear. If this deal fell through, there would be consequences, not just for me, but for the whole team. And there was this other company, this competitor who'd been trying to poach me for months. They'd made me an offer, not just a job, but inside information. Details about Emma's newspaper, the investigative piece she'd been working on about corporate fraud. Information that could kill the story and save my deal. She squeezed my hand. "I trust you completely," she said, her voice soft but certain. "Whatever you're worried about, whatever's eating at you, I trust you to do the right thing. I always have." And 1 second later, I betrayed her. The call happened while she was in the shower the next morning. I sat in our kitchen, still in my pajamas, and gave them everything. The source Emma had been protecting, the documents she'd shown me in confidence, the timeline of her investigation, all of it. In exchange for my silence, they'd guarantee the success of my presentation. Emma's story would quietly disappear, buried under legal threats and corporate pressure, and my career would be saved. It took less than 10 minutes to destroy 3 years of trust. Emma found out 2 weeks later when her editor killed the story without explanation. She came home that night different, not angry, not upset, just hollow. She sat on our couch and looked at me with these empty eyes, and I knew she knew. "It was you," she said. Not a question, just a statement of fact. I could have denied it. I could have played innocent, made her prove it. But looking at her face, at the way her trust in me had simply evaporated, I couldn't find the words to lie anymore. "Yes," I whispered. She nodded like she'd expected it. "I trusted you completely," she said, echoing her words from that night. But now they sounded different, not like a gift, but like an accusation. Like evidence of her own foolishness. She moved out that weekend. Didn't take much, just her clothes, her laptop, a few books. She left behind the life we'd built together like it was contaminated somehow. And maybe it was. The worst part wasn't losing her, though that nearly killed me. The worst part was realizing what I'd become. Emma had trusted me completely, and I'd used that trust as a weapon against her. I'd taken the most precious thing she could give me, her faith in my goodness, and I'd crushed it for a promotion and a salary bump. The deal went through. I got promoted. I bought a bigger apartment, a nicer car, all the things I thought I wanted. But success, I learned, tastes like ashes when it's built on betrayal. Every achievement felt hollow because I knew what I'd sacrificed to get it. I tried to reach out to her months later. I wanted to apologize, to explain, to somehow make it right. But Emma had learned the hardest lesson of all, that sometimes the people we trust most are the ones most capable of destroying us. She'd found a job at a paper in Seattle, started over completely. She'd learned to trust again, I heard through mutual friends, but carefully now, strategically, never completely. People talk about betrayal like it's something that happens to you. But the truth is, betrayal is something you carry with you forever. Every relationship after Emma felt tainted somehow because I knew what I was capable of. I knew that when pushed to my limit, when faced with losing everything I thought I wanted, I'd choose myself over the person I claimed to love most. Trust, I learned, isn't just about faith in someone else's goodness. It's about faith in your own. And once you've proven to yourself that you're capable of betrayal, that knowledge changes you at a molecular level. You become someone who has to live with the fact that you destroyed something beautiful for something temporary. They say, that trust is earned, but I think that's only half the story. Trust is also chosen, every single day, in 1,000 small moments and decisions. Emma chose to trust me completely, right up until the second I proved her wrong. And in that 1 second of betrayal, I learned that some choices don't just change your circumstances, they change who you are. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of the weight of the trust others place in you, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And if you want to hear more stories about the moments that define us, the seconds before everything changes, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Because these moments, these 1 seconds before, they're happening all around us, every day. The question is, when your moment comes, who will you choose to be?